Mhm. Hey guys, welcome back to the Eureka Podcast. I'm Troy,
I'm Patsy.
And I'm live.
and we're going to be talking about the pink pineapple. So, scientists began with the Del Monte gold pineapple, using this as a parent fruit. They continued to breed and select the fruits with pinker flesh on the inside. Researchers then used genes from other pineapples and tangerines to decrease the production of carotene, so more lycopene builds up in the pineapple's interior flesh. Lycopene is a red pigment, which is why the buildup of this substance results in a pink pineapple. These genes were derived from safe and edible plants. Therefore, they are safe to consume and tasty when generated as a pink pineapple. In the case of pink pineapples, the desirable traits include sweetness and deep pink color. Pink glow pineapples contain lycopene, a natural pigment that gives some produce its red color, such as tomatoes and watermelon. The natural color of pineapples comes from a combination of pink pigment and yellow pigment. Natural enzymes turn pink into yellow, and scientists found a way to reduce that enzyme so the pineapple stays pink instead of turning yellow. So, guys, ever wonder if they aimed for the pink color? Or was it just a coincidence?
I'd say it's something that they really planned on turning into because or actually it's something, I guess it's something that they went with along because as you mentioned earlier, there was something of red pigment. So with that red pigment, I guess that's why it turned into pink.
Yeah. For me, on the other hand, I think as I mentioned previously, this is the color of pineapple of pink pineapple is the same color as the one in Four Season. So it makes it more appetizing in a way. So I think that's one of the reasons why they made it pink instead of other colors like blue or yellow or other colors.
Yeah, because it kind of makes sense. Pink pineapple. You would think there would actually be pink pineapples, and there is. But like, if the pineapple was like blue, it looks kind of weird. It doesn't really look appetizing.
Yeah, it doesn't look
Because it looks like
appetizing. Yeah,
mold. Blue
I
looks
agree.
like mold, and if it was green, it looks like it's unripe. But like pink, it's appetizing. It looks like it just makes sense actually.
That's true. And if it were red, it would just look bloody and no one would actually want that because it would look too scary.
Yeah, but pink's nice.
It's true.
Yeah, it's cute.
So, where does it grow?
So pink pineapples have come a long way. So Del Monte Foods have been working on the fruit since 2005. The goal was to introduce an exciting and new type of produce. So pink pineapples are exclusively cultivated on a chosen farm in the south central part of Costa Rica. So this has a suitable soil and temperature for cultivating pineapples of all varieties. And the plant takes around 24 months to fruit. So, guys, do you think that our own Del Monte grows pink pineapples in our country?
I don't think they grow pink pineapples because honestly, if they do grow pink pineapples, I feel like they would market it like especially on TikTok, like it would trend on TikTok since pink pineapples, like they're so pretty. Like you'd think that people, Del Monte would milk it, you know, for profit.
Yeah, that's true. And honestly, I've never really seen a pink pineapple here in the Philippines. So if they were actually producing it here, I'd be surprised because if they were, we're supposed to at least see once in our lifetime here in the Philippines a actual pink pineapple. But I guess since because of our environment, I don't think that's possible. Same goes with like cherries and apples.
Yeah,
That's
I
true.
don't think
And
it's suitable to grow here. Like if
Mhm.
it,
So what I was trying to say was, if they were to grow here, I think they would plant it in Tagaytay since it's where most of the pineapples grew. So companies like Dole, Decent Farms, that's where their pineapples are from Tagaytay. So if ever there's pink pineapple, it would be grown there. But I guess based on our climate, I don't think it will be suitable to grow pink pineapple. What about you, Troy?
yeah, I really don't think it's suitable to grow here. I agree.
Okay, so now let's move on to its benefits. So Pineapple contains plenty of nutrients and beneficial compounds, such as vitamin C, manganese, and enzymes to help aid digestion. Eating fresh or roasted ripe pineapple may help boost immunity, lower cancer risk, and improve recovery time after surgery. It also contains lycopene, a natural pigment that gives some produce its red color, which makes this pineapple pink. Lycopene has been associated with numerous health benefits, such as antioxidant properties. But this fruit is particularly rich in vitamin C and manganese. Vitamin C is essential for immune health, iron absorption, and growth and development, while manganese offers antioxidant properties and aids in growth and metabolism. Antioxidants help prevent oxidation in your body, which may help ward off inflammation that can lead to cancer and other chronic diseases. Pineapples also contain other micronutrients such as copper, thiamine, and vitamin B6, which are essential for healthy metabolism. So guys, here's another question since we're already deep with the talk about pineapples. How often do you actually eat this?
Personally, I'm not really the biggest fan of pineapple. I mean, I don't mind the taste as long as it's sweet, but if it's sour, I'll immediately spit it up. Especially pineapples on pizza. Oh, you really can't force me to eat pineapples on pizza. The only time I ever eat or consume pineapples is when it's in a pina colada.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't like pineapple either. You will never catch me eating pineapple on pizza because I find that disgusting. And I don't even like the aftertaste that you get when you eat pineapple and then drink water after. It's just so bitter. It's nakakaumay.
Yeah, have you ever tried drinking water after eating pineapple?
No, but for me, because I really like pineapple, so it changed. For me, the last time that I ate pineapple was probably last night. Actually, not ate. We drank pineapple. So you know those fit and right bottles that they sell in the supermarket, pineapple flavored.
Yeah.
It's really not the same as an actual pineapple, but it has that tangy aftertaste that you guys are trying to say. But it's sweet, so I like it in a way. It's really good when eating it with rice or with ulam. So yeah.
I actually remember
Really? You eat pineapple with ulam?
with ulam.
No, the drink, not like the fruit itself, the drink.
Oh, I thought
But
you'd pair the
the
pineapple
fruit,
with
Okay.
rice. I was
I
like,
can
what
I
the
know
heck?
I
That's so
imagine
crazy.
no, the
that's a
drink,
lot. Ugh.
the
Well,
drink. But if you're asking about the fruit, I'll eat the fruit after or as dessert after eating the meal.
like a dessert.
Yeah, like a dessert in a way, just to like remove the umai factor of a food that you ate or something.
I
So yeah,
actually remember something about pineapple. Like I remember my sister, she had her wisdom tooth out, right? And someone advised her to like before getting like her wisdom tooth extraction, she has to like drink pineapple just so that it your gums won't like inflame or like you won't have like those chubby cheeks after the surgery. But she didn't go along with it because again, it prevents, blood from circulating. So that's something fun that I've learned before, but I think I'm gonna do that because I don't wanna and because if you guys had your wisdom tooth out and you didn't do this, and I feel so sorry for you guys, but I haven't yet. And when the day comes when I have to take out my wisdom tooth, I will chug down 3 cans of pineapple juice just so that I won't look like a chipmunk after a wisdom tooth extraction. Would you guys do that?
That's so
I would
crazy.
do
But
that.
honestly,
Yeah.
I would like, I'd
Right?
rather do that than have inflamed cheeks.
Exactly, because I looked at my sister, I couldn't stop laughing. I swear she really looked like a chipmunk. But yeah, just a fun fact. Pineapple juice saves lives.
All right. So now we will move to the health hazards of pink pineapple. So the pink color was created by turning off the enzymes that turns a pineapple yellow. Hence, the product features no additional additives or health concerns. So these pink wonders have several health benefits. particularly for skin, bones, and the immunity. In short, the pink flesh pineapple is as safe and nutritious as its conventional counterpart, according to the FDA or the Food Drug Administration. So, indeed, you have nothing to worry about. Pink pineapples are safe to consume. So, guys, my question is, what do you guys think about the pineapple? Do you think that it is something that should be in the common market here in the Philippines or not?
Well, I definitely do think it does have the potential to take off because it definitely looks pretty. If you guys like, for the audience, if you guys ever have seen a pink pineapple, it looks really appetizing to eat. And like knowing the market, like especially with TikTok and stuff and with the influencers, I feel like it'll take the market by storm if it becomes mainstream. As I said, I really don't know why they aren't marketing pink pineapple as much. Perhaps like they have like a marketing and production issue with pink pineapple, but yeah. I do think it does have the potential to take the market by storm.
Oh,
Yeah, I actually,
definitely, Troy. I agree. Yeah, I agree with your point. But the
yeah,
fact
but
that I searched recently the price of pink pineapple, it's gonna be like $30 for pink pineapple. So I don't think it's suitable
oh,
for the Philippine market since we're looking for the pangmasa type, the pangmasa product.
yeah,
Even
no
like
one's
the
gonna,
original pineapple, I find that expensive. Yeah.
yeah. And but maybe if like instead of like a common market, they could like use this on like cocktails instead. Maybe that way, like the price would be more reasonable. Because like drinks are not always that cheap, especially for like cocktails, right? And it always depends on where you get it. But if they were to like make use of pink pineapple on drinks like that, I think it would really hit off here in the Philippines since a lot of people like that here. But in a common market, well, while it can be marketed properly here in the Philippines, some people here in the Philippines or something about our culture is that we're very skeptical when we see something new about food. Like sometimes we just stick to what we know because we don't like to waste our money on things that we think won't taste good or will taste good. Like we don't really like to gamble on our own food, if you guys know what I mean.
Yeah, but probably if it's like companies that are trusted here in the Philippines, so like Dizon Farms or Dole, if they sell pink pineapple, maybe it would be less, it will be cheaper in a way, and it will, like what Troy said, it will be taken by storm by the people, especially with social media. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree on that part.
Okay, but Patsy, I think pink pineapple we would actually enjoy pink pineapple. Because did you know pink pineapple doesn't have that kick that we don't like? It's less acidic and it doesn't have that bitter aftertaste. Did you know?
No, I
See, it's
actually,
perfect for you guys.
then I guess it's something that I should look forward to.
Yeah, it's perfect. I really do hope. Like I really am looking forward to like seeing it soon in the Philippines.
Yeah, I hope so too, because
I
it
hope
looks
so as well.
good.
It
But
looks
yeah,
good. Also,
so
yeah, I agree with you guys. It would really look good on alcoholic drinks.
yeah,
It will be
because
perfect for Instagram stories or TikTok.
exactly, especially those who like cute little drinks. Yeah, it will definitely hit off to a lot of people. So
Anyways, that is all,
Oh,
guys, for
Troy.
this podcast.
so now that we've come to an end about the pink pineapple, we now offer the stage to the upcoming group who will talk about the golden potato. So this is Eureka. I'm Patsy.
I'm Troy,
And I'm Lyle.
and that's Eureka.
Eureka.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
guys. Bye bye.
Thank you guys.
Good morning to everyone. Welcome to my podcast once again. I'm your host, Alan Ang, and for today, we will be talking about GMOs. First of all, I want to share my appreciation for the previous talk that they had, which they talk about the pink pineapple. And I just want to say that the podcast is really interesting to listen, mainly because it is a great idea to produce and research new ways for crops to have more benefits for the consumer. And as for this GMO, It is really surprising to see that the pineapple turned into a pink one instead of a yellow, which is because of the small enzyme that they modified. Now let us move on from that. So before we talk about the GMO that we will be discussing today, I would like to introduce first our guests for today's podcast, who are Dr. Brent and Dr. Ronan Lacson. Welcome to this podcast, Dr. Brent and Ronan. Can you guys first introduce yourself for the audience to have an idea on who you guys are?
Greetings, audience. I'm Dr. Ronan Lacson. I graduated from Oxford University and I have been studying molecular biology for over 8 years. I'm also currently teaching biology in Oxford for over 3 years now.
And I am Dr. Brent Howe. I graduated from Harvard University with a PhD in molecular biology.
Thank you for that. And it is really nice to meet people from Oxford and Harvard University. So we all know that these GMOs, or the so-called genetically modified organisms, is very relevant because the main idea on this would be to combine plants, animals, and especially for crops where GMOs would subject to improve an object for greater use. So can you guys start off with a brief introduction on what our GMO for today would be?
So, what we are addressing nowadays are the sufferers of malnutrition in the global south could soon find help from an unlikely source. A humble potato genetically tweaked to provide a substantial dose of vitamins A and E, which are both crucial nutrients for health. Dubbed the golden potato, boosted levels of provitamin A carotenoids, which are found naturally in carrots and sweet potatoes, give the new tuber its yellow-orange flesh and are converted into vitamin A by digestive enzymes when eaten.
So basically, you guys are focusing on improving potatoes, right? And it is named as the golden potato. So this improvement focuses on the substantial doses of vitamins A and E, which are both crucial for health. And I just want to ask now on what are the benefits of improving vitamins A and E by the golden potatoes.
Let me start off with vitamin A. So the benefits of this would be the vitamin A can lead to having an effect of preventing blindness, which is good for the eyes, and this is also the key for growth, immunity, organ development, and most importantly on reproductive health. As for vitamin E, this protects against the stress and inflammation that one has, and these vitamins are associated with the recovery from the nerves, muscle, vision, and the immune system. When it comes to the golden potato, a single serving of this can provide up to 42% of a child's daily intake of vitamin A, whereas for vitamin E, this could provide up to 34% of their daily intake.
Wow, this golden potato is really interesting to look at. So you mentioned that this potato would really provide children their recommended daily intake of vitamins A and E. Where aside from the children as the main subject of the golden potato, what about the other people? Or how would this address food security for everyone who are in need?
So not only will this benefit the people, but this will also help the farmers by having a potato grow with less water, energy, and pesticides, which also has the benefit of being environmentally sustainable. Just to add up, the farmers that benefits them from their crops are designed to resist diseases and viruses, which this will not only increase the population, but this will also increase their incomes, which will help them shift out of poverty. Potatoes are a vital part of the global food system, where, as mentioned a while ago, this would contain copious amounts of vitamin A and E, which this will really provide a great benefit to those people who are in need.
I certainly agree with you, no? And that this will really benefit the farmers as they are the ones who will produce this. Which a question came into my mind that usually a GMO is composed of two genes that comes from two or more different species, and I want to ask on what are the genes that you guys use in this potato.
Well, as for our case, the potato is a mix between two different genes since these types of crops have no natural occurring gene for vitamin A, unlike maize and cassava, who can be enriched with beta-carotene using traditional breeding techniques. The golden potato has to be transgenically inserted, and these were engineered using the technique called biofortification, where this method has been proven itself with the golden rice and maize, which the golden potato is the third crop to join this, and it is always in need that there would be a level of technology that is necessary for this enrichment that would always depend on the crop itself.
It's surprisingly to see that there were no naturally occurring genes in vitamin A, and I heard that you saying that the term beta carotene is beta carotene a scientific term for vitamin A? Can you elaborate more on this? And how about for vitamin E? Does this have any genes that will provide on the golden potato?
Well, beta carotene is a red pigment found in plants and fruits, which beta carotene in itself is not an essential nutrient, but vitamin A is. So the human body converts beta carotene into vitamin A, which is also known as retinol, and we need vitamin A for healthy skin and mucous membranes, our immune system, and good eye health and vision. The main goal of this work was to examine the provitamin A availability, while for the genes in vitamin E, the finding of the availability and high content of this would be unexpected and a pleasant surprise.
And I see. So this really focused on the vitamin A, right? So where did this golden potato originally grow from? Where did this originated?
Golden potato originally came from Italy, and from there it was grown in one of their labs. From there, we have given the go signal for Ohio State University to research and study about it, as well as growing their own golden potatoes in order to be able to make the GMO more accessible to countries that want a better alternative to the standard potato.
I've been hearing some like health hazards from other GMOs. So I wanted to ask, what are the health hazards of this golden potato?
Well, genetically engineered foods is a relatively new practice, which means the long-term effects on safety are not yet clear. And unfortunately, most GMO potatoes end up as unlabeled foods that are indistinguishable from normal foods. Consumer groups would have to carry out PCR tests to determine if certain products, including fries and chips, contain or lack the GMO material. So this can be a hassle, no? Lastly, the golden potatoes contains an antifungal protein that allergic can be an allergic trigger can be allergic trigger can trigger an allergic reaction for some people.
It makes sense that the long-term effects are still undecided yet, mainly because these methods that you are doing are relatively new to scientists. And aside from the health hazards of this, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the GMO compared to the standard potato? Like, what are their differences from each other?
As I've stated earlier, all the benefits of the golden potato, and to add on what Brent said earlier, another disadvantage to crops like the golden potato is the fact that vitamin A is fat soluble, meaning we can only absorb if it comes with enough dietary fat. As vitamin A deficiency often affects people with a generally poor diet, this is by no means assured.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, for my last question for this podcast, and this is a very important question for this GMO. So, how do you see this golden potato in the future dealing with food security?
After solving the disadvantages of the crop, like the triggering of allergies, we see this potato to be sold in every supermarket throughout the world in a cheaper price compared to normal potatoes that are being sold nowadays.
Thank you for that, Dr. Brent. Now, it's very interesting that this golden potato has really a big opportunity in the upcoming future. And we hope that not only this GMO, but also the other GMOs will help in addressing the problem of food security. I cannot wait to see your golden potatoes in the market in the near future, and I wish you good luck on the upcoming challenges that you guys will face. Also, I cannot wait to try this out mainly because I am very curious on what this product is all about. Now, that's all for our time for today's episode. I want to thank you, Dr. Brent, and Dr. Ronan here for joining us today for our podcast. And I want to pass the floor to the next podcast who will be showcasing the golden rice as a GMO. Now, this is Alan once again as your host, and I'll be seeing you next time.
Thank you for discussing the golden potato, guys. Now, welcome to episode 3 of the podcast, which is KC the podcast. I am Candice, or you can call me Casey, as your host for this episode. Today, we'll be talking about golden rice. Before it was the golden potatoes, now it will be rice, with our special guests Santino Acuzar and James Te. Today on the show, we're excited to have Santino and James, the ones who will explain to us what golden rice is and how this addresses food safety.
Hi guys, it's Santino.
And James, and welcome to KC the podcast.
So, Santino, can you give us a background of golden rice?
It is a brand new variety of rice with beta carotene. A beta carotene is a provitamin A, a plant pigment that the body converts into vitamin A as needed. This substance lends the grain its designation of golden or yellow-orange color.
Oh! Can you tell us what was incorporated in the rice or what are the GMOs of this product?
As I have said before, beta carotene is incorporated through the expression of 3 proteins that have been created via genetic engineering. As the plants mature, these proteins gradually decrease in quantity after performing their designated task. One is ZMPSY1 from corn, which makes the first step in adding beta-carotene to rice possible. Then, CRTI from the Pantoa ananias bacterium. These are usually isolated from soil, fruits, and vegetables, which accelerates the creation of the precursor to beta-carotene. Then, PMI from Escherichia coli bacterium, normally found in intestinal flora of humans and animals, which plays a crucial role in completing the overall process.
That's a lot of proteins. Can you tell us how it is developed? Like how it was developed through genetic engineering?
Okay, beta carotene is produced by regular rice but is not present in the grain. As a result, scientists added the protein or compound via genetic engineering to the grain, a little change that increased the grain's nutritional value. The beta-carotene in golden rice, which was made possible by the inclusion of 2 new enzymes, is the same as the beta-carotene present in many fruits and vegetables, vitamin supplements, and dietary ingredients including green, leafy, and yellow vegetables, orange-colored fruit, and even rice.
Oh, okay. That makes sense why it is yellow colored. Is it connected to Java rice since they are both yellow and it looks like they're Java rice from afar, you know?
Oh, no. Java rice is definitely different from golden rice, since golden rice is genetically modified and it was already explained where the color came from. The Java rice is just colored with turmeric.
Oh, I thought they are the same. My bad. So, since they are like rice, just genetically modified, where do they grow?
It is like how ordinary rice grows, which is seed planting. Golden rice does not require any special cultivation practices and generally has the same yield and agronomic performance.
Oh, okay. Got it. I know it was said before the GMOs of the golden rice and what are their purposes, but what are the benefits of this?
Golden rice is an improved kind of regular rice, created to address a particular nutritional need without costing more or tasting different. Golden rice is anticipated to taste and cost the same as conventional rice, but due to its high beta-carotene concentration, it is an effective weapon in the fight against VAD or vitamin A deficiency. Micronutrient vitamin A is crucial for healthy immunologists and visual systems as well as growth and development. If neglected, VAD impairs the body's defenses against illnesses and infections, results in blindness, and could possibly be fatal. It was stated that in nations like Bangladesh and the Philippines, where rice is a mainstay of almost every meal, Beta-carotene-enriched golden rice can provide up to 30 to 50% of the recommended daily allowance of vitamin A, especially for the populations most at risk for VAD, which are young children and pregnant or lactating mothers.
Here's a video of UNTV News and Rescue about GMO golden rice. Ligtas kainin ng mga Pilipino.
Being a product of modern technology, kinahanglan siya mag-undergo og biosafety regulatory process. This is really to ensure nga safe gid siyang kaunon, safe siya sa atong environment, safe siya for planting. Ang assessment ng mga regulators natin is that golden rice is as safe as conventional rice varieties but with the added benefit of beta-carotene in its grains.
Ang golden rice ay bagong uri ng bigas na produkto na tinatawag ng Philippine Rice Research Institute na modern biotechnology. Sa modern biotechnology, mismong binhi ng bigas ay ginawang mas masustansya. Bukod sa beta-carotene sa mga butil ng golden rice, may taglay rin itong vitamin A. Dagdag pa ni Chief Science Research Specialist, malaking tulong sa mga magsasakang Pinoy ang golden rice.
We have this latest product developed through modern biotechnology, kining golden rice. Philippines is actually the first to approve a genetically engineered rice with nutritional value. So kinahanglan kaayo ni sa ato, especially here in the Philippines, nga taas pagid gapon ang insidente sa vitamin A deficiency, no? And especially atong mga children, no, 6 months to 5 years old ang affected sa vitamin A deficiency.
7 probinsya sa bansa ang may inisyal na pilot scale deployment ng golden rice. Ang mga ito ay ang Quirino, Catanduanes, Antique, Samar, Lanao del Norte, Agusan del Sur at Maguindanao.
This information really promotes how this genetically modified organism or golden rice helps oneself, but does it come with cons? Since it is genetically modified through genetic engineering, hence the name modified, are there cons or any hazards?
Actually, there are anti-GMO campaigners who are worried about the risk associated with growing and eating golden rice, such as the possibility of allergies or antibiotic resistance. They are also concerned that if GMO crops are planted close by without customers' knowledge, they are unintentionally contaminated by non-GMO crops. Growing GMO crops raises the question regarding their effects on the environment, especially in light of their potential to reduce biodiversity if they interbreed with wild species. Another issue is the possibility of genetic material from genetically modified crops spreading, escaping, or interbreeding, which could result in unintended pesticide or herbicide resistance. Animals that ingest genetically modified crops may also be impacted by this. The long-term impact of growing and eating golden rice are not well studied. The majority of scientists today believe that genetically modified crops are safe to cultivate and consume as conventional crops, notwithstanding some ongoing discussions of these negligible concerns. On a different point, there may be economical repercussions for poor nations from consuming genetically engineered food. Some people worry that because for-profit businesses support genetically modified foods, their potential market dominance may have a negative impact on small-scale farmers, especially the low class who cannot compete with big biotech firms for land or a piece of the rice market.
Alright, that would be all, and my questions are really answered with knowledge. We're thanking you for your time to talk with us, James and Santino. It is our pleasure to know about the golden rice and their benefits.
Thank you, and I am also honored. I'm also honored, and thank you for the invite.
Okay, that ends our episode on golden rice on Casey the podcast. Thank you for listening, and I will now give you to purple tomato. I think we're gonna finish all the colors in the rainbow since we got yellow and purple. Okay, bye!
I'm Paula,
And I'm Angela.
and we welcome you to the fourth episode of our podcast series brought to you by Enderon Colleges.
So, in today's episode, we will be tackling the purple tomato.
We will discuss where it grows
What are its benefits?
and what are its health hazards.
Not only that, but we will also have a friendly discussion with a surprise guest.
So if you're interested, keep on tuning in and share us your thoughts by using the hashtag Purple Tomato with Enderon or tagging us in any of our social media platforms. Just simply mention our tag at Enderon Colleges for Facebook or at Enderon for our Twitter and Instagram account.
So, without further ado, we present to you the fourth episode of our podcast series.
How are you, Angela?
I'm doing fine. How about our listeners? Are you all doing fine?
We hope you are. However, if you aren't, we hope that this insightful and exhilarating podcast would somehow lift your day.
As we commence our fourth podcast episode today, let us welcome Miss Nera C.
Welcome to the episode, Miss Nera C. We thank you for joining us and our listeners in today's episode.
Good day, Miss Paula and Miss Angela. To all our listeners who are currently tuning in, thank you also for inviting me to your episode.
Thank you for coming. So today we'll be discussing firstly the everything about the purple tomato. But before that, why don't we give our listeners first a short brief discussion on the origin of purple tomato. Right, Paula?
Yeah, you're right, Angela.
So, in order to produce a purple tomato, Miss Nera's team incorporated genes from snapdragons into the DNA of tomatoes. So, the end result of these experiments was a unique fruit, and not just because of its color.
For the last 14 years, Kathy Martin, Eugenio Butelli, and I from the John Innes Center in Norfolk, England, have been a team. Our team have been working on developing the purple tomato. It was our aim to engineer a tomato that contained higher levels of anthocyanins, which can be used alongside unmodified tomatoes to study the benefits of anthocyanins. The team chose the modified tomato because the fruits are delicious and widely consumed.
Where do anthocyanins occur?
Anthocyanins occur naturally in many fruits and vegetables that have a red, purple, or blue flesh or peel, such as blueberries, strawberries, aubergines, and red cabbages. Most fruits and vegetables that have a purple or blue tinge are that way because of its anthocyanin content.
But out of curiosity, since there's so many different fruits and vegetables out there, what made you choose to use a tomato instead of like a cucumber or a potato or anything?
That's a good question. Actually, an example of a fruit that has anthocyanins are blueberries. However, a tomato was found to be more accessible in terms of price, and it is more frequently eaten given its versatility and presence in a large selection of meals and dishes.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, the higher levels of anthocyanins in purple tomatoes actually work to double their shelf life compared to red tomatoes.
Oh, I actually heard that it has something to do with the anthocyanins. Like they help to delay over-ripening and they reduce the fruit's susceptibility to fungus attacks post-harvest, right?
Yeah, high levels of anthocyanins attract pollinators and animals to disperse seeds, which increases reproductive success of the plants and their yield. Anthocyanins also protect plants from UV damage and protect them from pathogens, which maximizes their survival.
So, what are the benefits of purple tomatoes for us?
Anthocyanins may also be good for your health. Studies on other foods containing them have linked them to lower inflammation, lower risk of type 2 diabetes, and cancer. They may also protect the brain against diseases such as dementia. Aside from that, it also provides us with the regular benefits of antioxidants like clearer skin, improved hydration, reduced inflammation as mentioned, and a lot more.
Right. In fact, while studies into the benefits of purple tomatoes, specifically on humans, are still ongoing, one study actually fed cancer prone mice food supplemented with purple tomatoes, and they found that they actually lived 30% longer compared to the mice that were just given regular red tomatoes.
Now, what do you think, or how do the purple tomatoes help with food security?
Well, um, purple tomatoes were actually made in Norwich in the UK, and we researched on some of the issues that the UK is facing in terms of food security. And although it's a lot of factors, one thing that contributes quite a lot is their food waste. So as we mentioned, purple tomatoes, they they don't rot as easily as red tomatoes, and this will allow people who buy them to have a longer window or period of time to use the tomato, make a dish out of them, and it really greatly lessens the amount of food waste that is produced. And aside from that, uh, since they don't have to throw away the tomatoes, they also won't have to repurchase new tomatoes if the time comes that they would want to use it again. So because of that, there will be more in the market, and more people will have access to the tomatoes as well. So yeah, I think it could really help with food security. Obviously, it's just a small part of it, but it's important to do our part, even if it seems small, because these things add up over time. And we can also apply the same concept to other fruits and vegetables in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that not only will this help in food security in the UK, but also all around the world as well. As soon as the process of creating purple tomatoes are shared, it will help a lot of countries in terms of their food security, especially with tomatoes.
Yeah, I agree. Are there health risks to the purple tomatoes?
Um, well, actually, in terms of health risks with GMOs, um, there's a lot of negative image with regards to GMOs in general. So, as this purple tomato is a GMO, as it contains a gene from the snapdragon plant, some people may think that, oh, this is something that shouldn't be safe to consume because it's like a hybrid or something that is not natural. Though it is true that it is something that is made, so there are obviously some risks such as allergic reactions. It is possible that an individual may have an allergic reaction due to the combination of the snapdragon gene and the tomato gene. With this, it is important to put in the packaging or the labeling of the product that this product contains these allergens. So, other than that, I believe that there are no concerning health risks
Yeah, I
you
think.
can encounter.
Sorry. Yeah, I think the
Go ahead.
advantages outweigh the potential risks,
Yes,
because
that's true.
yeah, I feel like there's a lot of food that even if it's natural, there's still a possibility of someone being allergic to it. And since it's
Yeah,
a new idea overall, I think it's pretty inevitable that some people will have to adjust to it.
yeah. Also, it's still a normal tomato. The main difference about it is the fact that it has more anthocyanins, and we mentioned earlier the multiple advantages of increased anthocyanins in one's food.
Yeah,
So yeah, I do agree that the advantages outweigh the negative
yeah.
aspects of a GMO.
Especially now that I feel like it's been kind of a trend to be healthier and everyone cares about their skin, cares about the
Mm-hmm.
products they put into their bodies, and like
Yeah.
things like skincare, eating organic food, those have become like such popular things. So I think that purple tomatoes could be a really big like hit if it expands here to the Philippines also.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So I think it's important, um, since people think GMOs are not natural, as I mentioned earlier, and as you mentioned as well, people want to be healthier. The image on GMOs being unhealthy or not being as good compared to natural um, organisms or natural food, it should be removed, that negative image, because it's not always the case. And
Yeah.
especially with the purple tomato, there was a lot of research into this, and it's already been tested, like the benefits, not only the health benefits, but the benefits that it gives when it comes to food security and things like that.
Yeah, I really agree.
Yeah.
I think that's it for today.
All
Yeah, I
right.
think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you
so much.
so much for having me. It was so fun to talk about purple tomatoes.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening to our podcast about purple tomatoes. For the next episode, we will be discussing banana resistant bacterial wilt, which is another type of GMO. So stay tuned for that. Thank you.
Yes, stay tuned. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. Joining us today are Princess and Eco to discuss how science and its technology advancements have allowed farmers to address the problem of banana bacteria wilt. Welcome, Princess and Eco.
Good afternoon, Robbie, and good afternoon to all the listeners. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Hi everyone. I'm honored to be joining Robbie and Princess today to discuss a really interesting topic in the field of science and technology, more specifically, the topic of genetically modified bananas.
Great. Let's get started. Did you know that the banana industry in 2016 was said to be worth $25 billion?
I can't believe it. Just the other day, I googled a recipe for banana muffins and saw that there are more than 60,000 different recipes that use bananas.
Yes, I remember we went on a trip to Africa a few years back, and I was surprised to learn that bananas are so important in Africa and that they are one of the largest banana producers in the world. Not only does it provide a staple food for them, it also has an important source of cash income as it provides livelihood for millions of farmers.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
When I was reading up on this topic, I was surprised to learn that some bananas, such as the Cavendish variety, are derived from a single tree source, and it's been that way ever since. So, if a disease or a virus was to infect the banana, almost all the bananas in the world would be at risk of getting infected.
Yes, Robbie. In fact, there is a devastating bacterial disease of bananas in East and Central Africa called banana santomonas wilt. It has caused significant reductions in banana production since its discovery in 1968.
Actually, this bacteria is so severe that it can kill a whole plant within a month of the first appearance of symptoms. What happens is that the bacteria blocks the water conducting species of the plant, meaning water can no longer pass, resulting in severe wilting, crop loss, and eventually death of the entire plant. Whole plantations are commonly affected, causing complete loss of the crop. The bacterium survives well in infected plant materials and moves easily in soil water, making this pest very difficult to manage.
Oh, that's not good. Another challenge the farmers face is the developing varieties with resistance to BXW through conventional breeding methods is poor since no banana genes that are resistant to the bacteria have been identified.
which is why scientists at the International Institute for Tropical Agriculture, or IITA, in Uganda and Kenya have turned to a transgenic approach. Disease resistance was achieved by transferring two resistance genes from sweet green pepper into bananas, both singly and as stacked traits. These genes have provided disease resistance in other plants including tobacco, tomato, orchids, calla lily, and rice.
To test this, the scientists then artificially infected the bananas with the Eccampes street bacteria. All non-GM control plants died, while the majority of GM lines had a significantly higher resistance, with some showing 100% resistance. Researchers also have identified several other potential genes that could confer resistance to DXW.
Wow, that's fascinating. So, what exactly are the pros and cons of using this approach in this situation?
Well, easily, one of the advantages that these bananas are resistant to the bacteria, meaning less crops are destroyed. This provides a consistent source of food and also a consistent source of income for the farmer. More bananas also means more income for the producer country, which will ultimately also boost their economy.
These bananas also have a longer shelf life, again, leading to less spoilage. This means that the bananas can be shipped worldwide with more ease, which is great for consumers because then there are less chances that you'd get overripe or even worse, spoiled bananas at your local market or grocery store.
Yeah, no one likes black mushy bananas. But if there are pros, there are also cons. What are your thoughts on this, Princess and Nico?
On a general note, GMO crops may be genetically different, but they grow and develop the same as usual crops, which means cross-pollination is still a major factor for the crop to be able to bear fruit. Now, since bees are involved in cross-pollination, they can be exposed to the genetic alterations of the pollen from GMO crops. I don't think that the effects on the bees have been thoroughly researched.
I think they should though, since these are absolutely necessary for our survival. I also read that when spreading seeds onto the land, a few seeds can spread over the neighbor's land as well because of the wind. The organic farms around the GMO crops can get contaminated as well. When there's cross pollination between the farms, we cannot predict what will happen to the both farms.
Along those lines, another thing that I believe is worth looking into is the fact that only five companies hold the monopoly in the GMO seed markets. This means that these GMO seeds are financially benefiting these companies. To sustain these revenues, some of the newly developed seeds are copyrighted. This means that farmers continuously have to spend to buy seeds for these companies instead of propagating them on their own. Consecutive consensually, because these seeds are to be regarded as property of the company. Even if a farmer was unintentionally grow a GMO crop, he may be liable to pay reimbursement to the company.
This practice is actually counterintuitive to the fact that they initially made these GMO bananas to help farmers produce more bananas of better quality. This seems like it's just adding another burden for them financially, don't you think?
True. Plus, region also have effect on consumers. America is heavily dependent on GMO feeds for their livestock. This leads to animals accumulating genetically modified proteins into their system, contaminating the animal-based food products that we get from the market. Traces of GMO components have been found in multiple animal-based products such as milk, eggs, seafood, as well as meat-based products.
So going back to the bananas, I guess we could assume that the proteins from the bananas we ate would possibly find a way into our systems as well. Researchers would definitely need to study whether that they would have any detrimental effects on people.
Absolutely, Eco.
Thanks for having us today, Robbie. To wrap up, I think that when we discussing the pros and cons of GMO foods, There's still a lot that can and will be debated upon. Given that the first FDA approved GMO food product was only released in 1994, we still have a long way to go in terms of studying whether the long term effects are truly beneficial to mankind.
Absolutely, Eco. I believe that it is also worth noticing that scientific and technological advancement should not come at the cost of the farmer's livelihood or a country's economy and ultimately people's health. Farmers should be allowed to grow GMO plants without fearing lawsuits from major organizations so that they can also benefit from the GMO crops and create more food for people. For consumers have the right to access to food that benefits their health and does not harm them.
Yes, the best way forward, I believe, is to support the continuing research in GMOs and how this technology can be harnessed to benefit producers and consumers on a national and global scale. That's about all the time we have left for today. Thank you again for joining us today.
We've seen the previous group go, how should I say this, bananas with their presentation.
Yeah, actually. Did you know that an entire disease right in a literal canal or canal country wiped out an entire type of banana, which is why almost every banana we see is Cavendish.
Makes you wonder if those so-called banana wars in the 1920s were worth it for Uncle Sam, Chiquita, and even Dole in the long run.
But it also shows just how strong these mutated bananas really are when it comes to diseases that not just affect themselves and however not us, unfortunately.
Well, this ain't the 1940s, and as far as I'm aware, penicillin-like treatments aren't gonna resurge anytime soon.
All right. Let's just get on with this bloody thing. Good day, everyone, to all organic podcasts. Yeah, this is the organic podcast, and I am your host, the one and only, never to be found again if I pass, Emmanuel Generic Podcast host, Belen, and I am with our co-hosts, the ones you've been hearing bantering a while ago, Hubert and Rick, and we are going to be discussing GMOs.
Dun, dun, dun.
Man, I used to have a vegan teacher in junior high, and damn, the debates I used to have with her were mainly because of GMOs. And let's just say it ca- it basically kind of got a bit out of hand. And they say that millennials haven't lost their heads. Who knew? Yeah.
What? Anyways, jeez. Anyways, today, on behalf of Snapchat users, we are going to be talking about the eggplant, specifically BT eggplant, not that kind of eggplant, which is a genetically modified crop, believe it or not, that has been developed to be resistant to the fruit shoot borer, which is a major pest that causes a lot of damage to eggplant crops. So the gene that provides the resistance to the pests is derived from a soil bacterium called Bacillus thuringiensis, which is why it's called BT eggplant. That's where the BT comes from.
Um, Before we continue, Eva and Rick, got any concerns about this particular eggplant? I mean, as someone who actually has done a good amount of research on this topic, I think I can provide some answers, if you will.
Boy has creds. Well, Hubert, my main concern is that, well, genetically modified crops have not been proven to be safe for human consumption or for the environment. I think we need to be cautious about introducing these crops into our food system.
And I actually have some concerns about the impact of BT eggplant on the environment because we don't really know its long-term effects of introducing a GMO or a genetically modified crop into the ecosystem that will be actually.
I understand both of your concerns, but actually, the evidence suggests that BT eggplant is actually safe for human consumption and for the environment. It's been extensively tested, it has been extensively tested for safety and environmental impact. Bangladesh, Bangladesh has been using this type of eggplant for decades now, and as far as I'm aware, this type of eggplant has also been introduced in the Philippines recently, and they really do bring down the prices of eggplant and making it more accessible to people. Unlike onions, I mean, remember earlier this year?
Yeah,
Uh,
true.
but this is all done without relying on chemicals to keep the plant safe. And mind you, this is coming from someone whose father is running a pretty much a well-known agrochemical company in this country.
What? Man, are you dissing your own dad? Anyways. So, Hubert, isn't it true that genetically modified crops have been linked to some negative effects on the environment?
Well, there have been some concerns raised about the impact of genetically modified crops on the environment, but for the most part, the evidence is mixed. Some studies suggest that these crops can reduce the use of pesticides and increase yields, which can be which can be beneficial for the environment.
But, Hubert, we need to be careful about the long-term effects of these crops. We don't know what the consequences will be.
And we also kind of need to consider the impact it has on small scale farmers who may not have access to these genetically modified crops because not everyone can afford these GMOs.
That's true. What about the little guy? What do you think about that, Hubert?
Well, I think it's important to consider the impact on small-scale farmers, but BT Eggplant has actually been successful in helping small-scale farmers in Bangladesh increase their yields and reduce their use of pesticides. It's important to keep in mind that genetically modified crops can have their benefits as well as risks. For example, it may repel insects that actually help in the development of eggplants, and the prioritization of one species of eggplant put can put it all at risk of disease, as we've seen with bananas in South America and why the game dish banana is popular right now. But the more important thing is, well, we are here to solve a much bigger problem right now, something that's more pressing at this point in time, and that is food security.
Food security. All right, spicy. Let's dive into this, Hubert. Can you please explain how BT eggplant could help solve the issue of food security?
Sure. As I previously mentioned, the BT eggplant has been developed to be resistant to the fruit and shoot borer, which is a major pest that causes significant crop losses to for small scale farmers. Think of it as termites, but instead of wood, they're going after crops, mainly eggplants. By using BT eggplants, farmers can reduce their reliance on pesticides and increase their yields, which can help improve food security in regions where the eggplant is an important crop. Not to mention, pesticides may impact taste. So at the end, you're only left with what I would say is a much more superior and, quite frankly, much more streamlined crop.
And that is exactly right. Actually, in many regions of the world, food security is a pretty significant challenge, and many small-scale farmers are actually vulnerable when it comes to this issue. So, BT eggplant can help these farmers increase their yields and protect their crops from, the different pests, and which can help improve the issue of food security. And it's actually important to keep in mind that when it comes to food security, um we need to be considerate of all of our options. We need to consider all of the possibilities that we are presented with. So BT eggplant is just one tool in the toolbox actually, but it can be an important one for many small scale farmers who are struggling with different kinds of crop losses.
I mean, yeah, sure, indeed. There really is a bigger picture here. I have to agree. And though ideally we would all like to live that all organic, unmodified food life, In a world with a constant growing population and with some first world nations worrying about their food security, I think a current priority right now is to take care of our own and do what we can to ensure that food is easily accessible for everyone, regardless of their socioeconomic status. And as an agricultural nation, especially, it is quite reasonable at the end of the day that we take these risks and sacrifices, especially considering the majority of the risk, which is impact to human health, is near negligible. Man, I cannot speak. Near negligible, without any significant cause of concern. And with that, I think we can all end the show off. To the viewers, we would like to actually ask, what's your say on GMOs, regardless of whether or not it's eggplants or the previous groups and groups to follow? What is your say on that? Especially in regards to the BT eggplant, the crossbreeding of soil bacterium to help fend off pests.
I actually heard that the next group's discussion is on some kind of fishy business, actually.
Yeah, from a friend of mine who is actually a bunch of friends of mine from that other group have spoken to me about their particular GMO. It has to do with fast growing fish, if I can recall. Specifically, an overhyped fish with orange flesh that, let's just say, was not originally found on sushi until the 90s.
I'm gonna be real with you. People are gonna start thinking it's a goldfish, man. All right, let's send it off to them. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, group, for explaining what BT eggplant is all about. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, everyone. Today is another day, another sleigh. I'm your host, Shaina.
And your co-host, Rafi. And you are listening to
The Girly Pops.
Okay, so for our new episode today, we'll be talking about something very interesting that I personally wasn't aware of. Is anyone of you guys a salmon fan? Because thinking about salmon sashimi I had from the Japanese restaurant I went to last night made me want to go back ASAP.
Yes, that salmon sashimi we had last night was spectacular. Y'all should definitely try. Okay, Rafi girls, so in line with our topic today, we will be talking about a GMO, which is the fast-growing salmon.
Ooh, exciting. So what are we waiting for? Let's introduce you to our guest for tonight.
Drum roll, please.
Miss Diane
Tulala.
Woo!
Hi guys! Oh wow, it's so nice to finally be here. I've always wanted to be a guest on the show. How's everyone been?
Stop! We've been waiting for you, for the mail to get to you for so long, and finally you're here! How are you?
Must have gotten lost in the mail. Finally, I'm so excited to be here!
Thank you so much for being here. Now, moving along to today's topic episode, can you give us a brief knowledge about fast-growing salmon and what it is known as?
Well, the other name for the fast-growing salmon is Aqua Bounty salmon. The company, Aqua Bounty, is a biotech company which is now responsible to create this type of salmon.
I wonder how does it classify as GMO?
Well, a genetically modified organism needs the genetics of an organism to be changed. So this is by altering some characteristics. In this case, the salmon grew more, okay? Midway through the 1980s, they started the research, and the first modified salmon was produced in 1989, which is following those years of research is using the growth hormone gene and the identification of the DNA sequence. They used an Atlantic salmon with the genes of the Pacific Chinook salmon and a part of the DNA of the ocean pout, which boosts the growth hormones.
That's so fascinating. Prior to that, how fast do they grow compared to the Atlantic salmon?
This genetically modified Atlantic salmon grows from its egg stage from 16 to 20 months compared to 28 to 32 months for the conventionally farmed Atlantic salmon.
Well then, what is the length of the fish when they grow up?
They can grow up to 24 inches or 61 centimeters. That's like 2 rulers. That's like a ruler.
How about weight? How much do they weigh?
They can grow up to 3 to 5 kilograms or 6 to 13 pounds.
Wow. But are they considered to be grown in the wild?
Well, they aren't grown in the wild because they are grown in land-based farms, which are located in Indiana, USA, and Prince Edward Island, Canada. Can you take a guess? Are they fresh or saltwater fish?
Fresh?
Same, I guess fresh.
Wow, you guys, that's correct.
But how do they maintain the salmon to survive in these tanks?
Well, of course, they have a system in order to grow these salmon. They maintain the temperature of the fresh water and the oxygen levels. They also have to feed them.
So it is a common fact that salmons eat small types of fish, shrimp, or other things they meet out in the ocean that are small enough for them to eat. But what does this type of salmon eat?
Well, your guess is right, Rafi. They eat fish meal, which are crushed small types of fish that is turned into powder because the oil and water are pressed out.
What would happen if they go out of the facilities?
So sadly, they wouldn't be able to survive the waters outside of their facilities since it's either a mixture of salt water and fresh water or purely salt water. The land-based farms do have precautions and systems in order to maintain them in the facilities. They have nets around the tanks and metal screens at the bottom so the eggs and the fish won't be able to go into their plumbing.
That's sad and fascinating at the same time, but interesting. Then how do they produce then?
Well, the farmers artificially produce the fish. Instead of using the Atlantic salmon, they use the Aqua Advantage salmon instead to continue the evolution. They hatch the eggs from the female and the sperm from the males. They put the salmon eggs into hatchery incubators for their breeding and egg production facilities. Then these infertile female fish, or they call fry, are moved to small tanks shortly after hatching, where they can actively swim and eat a specific diet to help them grow again.
That's amazing. Getting on to deeper question, why was it created?
That reason is that the demand of salmon was great even before in the US and Canada. They had to deal with overfishing, which led to the decline of the salmon population.
So in this matter, is it approved by the FDA?
That's a good question. Yes, in 2015, the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, approved the genetically engineered Aqua Advantage salmon for human consumption.
I'm curious, how does it taste? And have you personally tried it before?
Yeah, I've tried it before. So it tastes like a normal salmon would taste like. The flesh is exquisite. It's buttery, light, and juicy, just as Atlantic salmon should be.
Oh wow, hearing that sold me. I'm down to try it.
Does it have any health hazards?
Currently, there aren't health issues when consuming the Aqua Advantage salmon, meaning you don't get allergies from it, and there were no allergies or diseases detected by the FDA or the scientists that did check and monitor the salmons out.
Well, that's good news for people allergic to Atlantic salmons. Okay, wrapping up with our questions, what are the benefits of the salmon?
Well, there are many benefits with growing and producing these salmons. Well, the first thing is they use 25% of their feed compared to the normal salmon. So they use less of the feed than the ones that you grow for a normal salmon. And the salmon is living their best life in those land-based facilities. They are able to swim freely in their cages. They don't have antibiotics injected into them. And the company promotes sustainability. So they use less carbon emissions when transporting from their facilities to the city, which is sold into grocery stores where you can purchase them. And the travel time is very short. And as I said before, they have a system, and this system is the recirculating aquaculture system, in which they control how to use their resources like water and energy, electricity. And they also figure out what else do they recycle while farming for these salmon.
Wow, that is very interesting. I can't wait to try one of those myself. I guess that's an extensive salmon sashimi for everyone.
I agree. Knowing this kind of gave me hope for future shortage of produce and natural resources. Come to think of it, it is amazing how people can put together something so helpful that could save us in the near future.
Couldn't agree more. So what now? Should we grab salmon sushi after this?
Totally. And before giving the floor to BT corn topic, thank you all for listening to today's episode. I am Rafi.
I'm Shaina. And you
are
are
listening to the Girly Talks. Bye.
Bye.
Well, after hearing that, I know there's going to be salmon for everybody. Welcome to today's podcast. I am Mark Valenzuela and I will be your host. In this episode, we will be discussing BT corn, a genetically modified organism that has generated a lot of controversy in the recent years. So before we start, I would like to give everybody a brief general knowledge about this GMO. BT corn is a type of corn that has been genetically modified to produce a protein called Bacillus thuringiensis, or the BT toxin. This protein is toxic to certain pests, such as the corn borer and the corn rootworm, which can cause significant damage to crops. To produce BT corn, scientists insert the gene for the BT toxin into the corn plant's DNA. This modification allows the corn to produce the toxin on its own, making it more resistant to pests and reducing the need for pesticides. On the surface, this seems like a good thing. After all, reducing the use of pesticides could have positive environmental and health effects. However, many people have raised concerns about the safety and potential risk of genetically modified crops like BT corn. One of the main concerns is that the BT toxin could be harmful to non-target organisms, such as beneficial insects or animals that feed on the corn. Some studies have suggested that the BT toxin can have negative effects on these organisms, in which could disrupt ecosystems and harm biodiversity. Another concern is that genetically modified crops could lead to the evolution of pest resistance. Over time, pests could develop resistance to the BT toxin, making it less effective as a pest management strategy. This could lead to the need for even more pesticides, which could be counterproductive to the original goal of reducing pesticide use. Despite these concerns, BT corn has been widely adopted by farmers in the United States and even other countries. In fact, BT corn is now the most commonly grown genetically modified crop in the world. Supporters argue that the benefits such as reduced pesticide use and increased crop yields outweigh the potential risks. However, the debate over genetically modified crops is far from over. Critics argue that more research is needed to fully understand the long term effects of these crops on the environment and human health. So, where does that leave us with BT corn? That's the question. Today is our lucky day because Mr. CJ Carl and Mr. Darsh Keswani agreed to join our podcast and feed our minds to broaden our knowledge about this infamous GMO. I will now pass on the mic to Mr. CJ.
Hello guys, welcome to our podcast. So, do you know that the first genetically modified plant was tobacco? In 1983, the plant was introduced with the kanamycin resistance gene. But enough of that, because we're here to talk about BT corn. So, BT corn, it is an enhanced plant through biotechnology to protect against insect and pests. Its built-in insect protection comes from a what do you call this? Naturally occurring microorganism called bacillus. So the protection produced by BT corn selectively targets caterpillars, um, yeah, caterpillars. So this order includes several moth species harmful to corn, as well as other non-target butterfly species, such as monarch. So the primary target is the European corn borer, a moth caterpillar that feeds on corn stalks. Corn stalks. Sorry, and ears yield losses, and the cost of controlling the European corn borer are staggering, estimated at more than I think 1 billion annually. So we're gonna talk about the commercialization of the BT corn. So BT corn, so I think BT corn started in the USA, Canada, and Europe in 1997, and it was commercially planted in 11 countries in 2009. So it was then representing 85% of the total area of corn in USA, 85 in Canada, and 83 in Argentina, 57 in South Africa, 36% in Brazil, 20% in Spain, and here in the Philippines, 19%, according to James 2016. So you guys might be wondering why they started to genetically modify corns. So let's compare the two. So researchers find that BT corn has higher yields and uses nitrogen more efficiently than non-BT corn. And so and also I think the BT and BT corn means bacterial toxin, which is utilized to combat the attacks of rootworms, which are the leading pests that consume roots. This then cause massive losses which can be quantified up to $1 billion annually. Damn! This substance is absent in normal corn, which makes it vulnerable to such catastrophe.
Oops, we are not done yet. Let us now lend our ears to Mr. Keswani.
Hello everyone. Today I'm gonna present the health hazards and how to grow BT corn. First of all, the health hazards specifically, there are no adverse human health effects associated with BT corn. BT corn can adversely affect non-target insects if they are closely related to the target pest, as is the case with monarch butterflies. These adverse effects are considered minor relative to those associated with the alternative of blanket insecticide applications. These adverse effects are considered minor relative to those associated with the alternative of blanket insecticide applications. Because new technology allows us to improve crop varieties by adding genes from other species. This is useful because we can alter traits such as insect resistance that might not naturally exist in the crop species or that might be difficult to transfer within the crop species using classical plant breeding techniques. One successful application of this new technology is the development of corn hybrids that are resistant to certain insect pests because of the addition of a gene from natural soil bacteria, although these corns hybrids are highly effective at controlling insect pests. Their use has raised concern the household exposure below theirs does not result in a significant health risk. Monarch butterfly populations are not likely to suffer from the use of BT maize. It is safe for humans to consume grain produced from BT maize plants. Alright, next we're gonna go on how it grows. First of all, on how to grow BT corn is to create a BT crop variety. Plant scientists select the gene of a particular BT toxin and insert it into the cells of a corn or cotton plant at the embryo stage. The resulting mature plant has the BT gene in all its cells. It expresses insecticidal protein in its leaves. Caterpillars ingest the toxins which fatally damages the lining of the gut. Because BT corn produces an insecticide within its tissues, the toxic proteins are protected from the sun and thus persist longer. Moreover, BT corn makes the toxin continually over a season, extending its protective effects since BT corn offers an alternative to spraying chemical insecticides. It offers environmental and economic benefits to farmers. Most BT toxins are selective for specific caterpillars and closely related species. There are no known effects to mammals, fish, or birds, and they appear safe for consumers. Nevertheless, future varieties that entail changes in plant metabolism could possibly be associated with toxicity. Basically, the BT corn is basically is very safe. That's it.
Okay. Quite confusing on the last part there, Darsh. But still, I hope you all learned something from our podcast. Thank you.